Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Special K and we'll be playing some Dungeons Defenders 2. Now, these videos are mainly for the Chaos 5 trials and, well, me included, people are having difficulty with Chaos 5 and Chaos 2. So I decided to make some videos for how to complete those maps, mainly with the 4 basic heroes, the Monk, Huntress, Squire and Apprentice. And these are the characters I'll be using. I have 2 monks and 2 apprentices because I use a different monk for the Skyguards and a different for the auras, and an apprentice for the DPS and an apprentice for the flamethrowers. So I found that, or at least I'm at the very high assassin level, it is best to have 2 of those characters to be able to maximize the damage from those towers. Now I will be building with those characters. You can have a look on my characters here. The relics I have from them, they're not too high. I think it's totally doable with such relics. When I started doing Chaos 5 and be able to complete the maps, I had relics of around 8k damage, 7.8 to 8.2. So it's totally doable with those shards, those relics. You don't need to have like max gear to be able to pull it off. Just use your defenses smartly and prioritize your targets. Defense damage and defense critical is always good to have on your characters, so that's mainly the pets I use with my building characters. I am going to be using flamethrowers a lot. That's the main tower of my build. I use them to take down enemies. Also, they help with the geodes on the 4th and the 5th wave, so I try to have good stats on them. As you see, I have a 7.8 medallion on my monk. That I use for frostbites, but I don't use frostbite now. The medallion I have, it's an 8.1k for my flamethrowers, and I use power transfer, defense rate and deadly strikes a lot, because I found that those shards in particular help a lot, and that's why maybe a lot of you are not on my ascension level when trying Chaos 5, because I have put a lot of time in farming C4 and C3 to get those shards. You see, the relics I have, they're not something so great. I mean, if you manage to go to wave 2 or wave 3, at some point you'll get those medals, and probably you'll have relics with a lot of higher stats than this. So let's go into the game. First map will be Nimbus Ridge. Let me say that I am playing on the PlayStation, so there's gonna be some frame rate issues. It's not so well on the PS4, the game, but everyone hopes it will be fixed at some point. But still, it's a very enjoyable game and very playable. It's just that sometimes the frame rate gets a bit too much for you. So as I said, I'm going to be using the main 4 characters, mainly because everyone has those 4 characters. Some people may have the Beast Lord or Mystic, or some people might not, but the 4 main characters, everyone has them, so that's why I'm using those. Now, because in Chaos 5 you get cyborgs, your traps, unless you have really maxed gear, don't do much, so that's the reason I don't use auras. Now with the walls, what you want to do is check that you don't leave any gaps between them, because Lady Orcs can go over those gaps and take down your crystal before you can do anything about it. So always check if you leave any kind of space between your walls, and anything can go through it there. I found that this lane is actually tricky for me because I get a lot of damage taken there, and maybe it's my placement, but since it works most of the time, I use it like that. I haven't really given more thought into it. I just put an extra PDT there, so I do some more damage. Now you see, I mainly build the walls and then use a PDT behind them to do some damage to bigger enemies like Lady Orcs and Cyborgs. A Skyguard Tower way back, because that Skyguard Tower will help me with assassins also. That's why it's there, and I'll show you later where I will be camping between waves, because that's actually what I do. I camp somewhere and take the assassins first out, so I do not jeopardize, taking down my crystal or my defenses running around with an assassin on my back doing damage to everything. So I use flamethrowers because they have a very good amount of damage output, and I found them very useful against shielded enemies and geodes because they can penetrate them. So, and cyborgs do not take them down or stun them like they do with auras. So I think that's the best alternative. And I place them facing back because I think that's the focus area. So when you get a siege roller, you wanted to focus on that, and those guys are gonna help you the most when you get a siege roller, and you won't be able to do anything because you have assassins on your back. So there goes my second PDT on that lane. Now I found that I can put flamethrowers there, but they usually go down very fast on this lane. That's why I'm using 2 PDTs on the back and just 1 flamethrower for the geodes mainly, if a geode spawn there. And as you see, I try to put my most defenses on the boss waves, on the boss lanes, because that's where you're gonna need the most help. Now I switched to my DPS apprentice. That's what I'm gonna use. A lot of people are using the Sparkle Party Pet. I'm using Dragolites because I found that if you get a siege roller, it's much faster to bring them down with the extra damage that Dragolites gives you, because with Dragolites the target gets extra damage from everything in the map, so that's a plus. And it also helps if you have Slakelion between waves, because you want to take those guys really fast too. Now I'm gonna be staying on that spot for the most part, because you don't want to be near your crystal when assassins spawn, that's for sure, because they can take down your crystal real fast. And I tend to not get in front of my defenses much, because I found, especially if you do not have higher relics that with more health, that give health to the tower, they can pretty much take down your towers very fast, and you don't want to do that. That will probably cost you the game. So what I do is I stay on one place and I take them down from there. Now I use Electric Retribution on as a start, because I found that it helps a lot with assassin, because the shock it does, it shocks them and stuns them for a bit, just enough so the Skyguard can do some damage to them. And also I have Overwhelm and drenching strikes on my staff, on my primary, so that also drenches them and stuns them for a bit, so it gives you the opportunity to put some extra damage in them and take them down. Now of course you're gonna die a lot out of them. The main thing you want to do in Chaos 5 is build your defenses in such a way so they can hold just enough and take down everything till you can go and actually help with the mini bosses. That's your main thing you want to focus here. It is a tower defense game, so that's actually how you want to beat the level, with your defenses mainly, not your DPS. But you know, anything. It depends on your playstyle or how you want to play the game. So between waves, we cleared our first wave. Now what I want to do is definitely go one upgrade on my walls. I found that this, having, you know, the extra upgrades on your wall helps a lot. Always bigger health is better, because that's the guys who are gonna hold all the enemies going to your crystal, so you definitely want some upgrades into those. I usually do not go for 2 upgrades on my walls, because I haven't found that they need more health than that. What I do is I put some upgrades on my defenses that do damage also, like my flamethrowers, because if your walls are holding, that's the defenses that are gonna do the damage and take down your enemies faster. So that's what you wanna do for me. Put some points on your defenses that do the damage, and you'll be able to clear them up, as long as your walls are holding. In some cases I do put more upgrades on my walls, especially I think in the Bastille map, because maybe it's my placement, it's not so good, but I found that if I put a few points more in those walls, they'll hold a bit more, so that's what I do. I really don't have to. If you see something working, you don't need to rethink it every time. Just and if you have the mana, you just put the mana and clear the wave. Now, now what happens when you get a roller spawning? Most of the times you won't be able to help a lot with that. So having good defenses will definitely help with that, and that's why I have the flamethrowers the way I place them. So between the time I can clear the assassins and actually be able to help with a siege roller, it gives me that time, so all the mobs get taken down rather quickly, and the siege roller gets enough damage and my walls hold enough before it can do more damage. So you see I'm trying to take down the assassins. That was a bit ballsy, going near the crystal. But you see, as soon as I find the opportunity, I go behind the roller, activate my Drago Lich, and basically my defenses will take down the roller. Now, this wave is gonna be a real close one, because the roller will almost take down my defenses. Almost. But I mean, if everything else holds and you don't have mobs going through, if you lose a defense for the roller, and being the roller the last enemy, I mean, it's okay, as long as it has some space between your crystal. You can lose a wall, it doesn't matter, as long as it holds enough to clear all the other mobs, and after the assassins are gone, you can go and take down the roller. So it's okay if you lose a defense between waves, especially if it's the last enemy, Of course, if you don't lose the wall, it's more mana, so more upgrades, but whatever it takes to go further in the game and get more drops. Now again, I try to put 2 upgrades on my walls. That's mainly the maximum I go, and once I hit those 2 upgrades, I then try to upgrade all my other defenses that do the damage, and I try to find out which defenses do the most damage output, and give those defenses some upgrades, because that's the main damage defenses you're gonna have that help you clear the waves. So you definitely want those defenses to have the most damage output until you'll be able to go and help once you get rid of the assassins. Alright, so wave 3. Wave 3 we get 2 bosses. As you can see, everything is working fine. I mean, once you go to the 3rd wave and you see that you can hold it and, you know, put some upgrades in it, it's really, I think, very easy from that point. If you can reach that 3rd wave, you probably can reach the 4th one, and that means that if you reach the 4th one, that's an extra drop for you, and possibly a good one. So you definitely want to aim for that at first. Don't aim too high thinking that you can immediately, you know, clear the game from the first time you reach Chaos 5, because that's probably won't gonna happen. And Chaos 5, it's a little bit tricky, but once you get around of how you should place your defenses and what to do with legendary, with assassins, I mean, it's actually pretty easy after that. And I guess it is, you know, having the right shards or getting the right drops. But until you get the right drops, you're gonna fail sometimes. So again, yeah, you see, Overwhelm really does help with the assassins, because, and drenching strikes, because it does that extra damage to them, and it stuns them for as much as needed for the Skyguard to help you take them down faster. Now, of course, between waves, you can check your loot drops and put them on your highest equipped character, the way the loot system works right now. I'm guessing it's I mean, I just put the higher equipment based on the primary stat on a character. I use my hunters for that, and it seems to be working. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a legendary or a powerful item or a mythic one. The higher, it's just the number that counts. The higher the number. So that's what I do. I use her just for that, and it seems to be working so far. I am getting better loot drops. Now, with the latest update and closing the gap between loot drops between chaos difficulties, I don't upgrade my gear because I don't find it necessary. I mean, you do get a lot of good upgrades, and based on what the maximum stats were before this update, you get a lot higher, well, a lot higher, around 20%, 15 to 20%. That's not a lot, but it's quite good. Higher drop. So I haven't found yet the need to upgrade my gear, so that saves me a few gold. But if you find that you're struggling, maybe, yeah, why not? You put some points in there and see if you get better gear. But I generally find that I don't need to. Well, once you check everything is okay. This will be our 4th wave, so we're gonna get a geode here. Now flamethrowers are gonna help a lot with that. Now you see here I check which flamethrower has the highest damage output, damage dealt, so I know that those guys are helping the most, so I will give the upgrade to them because I find it that they do the most damage and they help take down enemies faster, so they help me clear the wave and have less damage on my walls. So that's the damage, the towers you want to put your upgrade into. For the walls I'm using fortification and I believe shielding guard and explosive guard, which is a sword you take from C5. I got it like the 2nd or 3rd time I cleared Chaos 5. You can do it without it. It does help, but you can do it without it. I mean, the first time you're gonna clear Chaos 5, you won't have any Chaos 5 shards. If you don't, get some from the sword dealers. So again, I'm trying to stay on that spot, being away from my defenses and the crystal. It doesn't matter if you get taken down from the assassins. You're probably gonna get you many times. Just as long as your defenses hold, that's okay. Chaos 5 and Chaos 2 is mainly what your towers do, not what you do as a DPS character. So that's what you want to focus on. You see, if you get past wave 3, you see that wave 4 you can handle it. It's not that much of a difference. I mean, unless something is very wrong with your defenses or you've missed something that you shouldn't, then I'd say you're on a very good path. Marathon! I always hope. It's like a leon. Now those guys are tricky because they spawn between each wave, so that's another reason I'm using the Dragolids because it helps to bring them down very fast when they spawn again on the start of the wave. So the faster you can bring him down, the better for your defenses and your walls, because you might not have that time to repair anything if assassins get on your back. So you go in, you activate the Dragolids, 100% more damage. And also Skeletons I think are great enemies because if you get them to spawn, I mean in the first wave you get more drops, so that's always good. You know, it's a plus side and a minus side as everything. If that was a legendary one with 4 seconds, I would hold it, but it's blue and have no use for it. And it only had one shot, so yeah, when you change your chest and you have a bulwark on it, always, but always remove it. I mean, I've uh, I've deleted things with shards on it on them so many times. Yeah, I believe there's a great post on the forums right now from Joe. 981010 I think. Sorry if I misspell it, which has pretty good ideas of how to make shards unequip and re-equip on things um, when you equip them, when you put new things on. Very good ideas in there. So again, when you reach a point when you see your defenses are holding, there's no point of putting more upgrades in them. You see, I go up to 2 upgrades. I just repair them, and then the rest are going in all the damage towers, the towers that deal the damage, because that's what you want to do. If your defenses are holding, there's no point in putting more points in them. You just want to take the burned enemies faster then. Oh yeah. And let's get ready for wave 5. Oh. Yeah, that will do a little more damage than it should, but yeah, so I think we're ready. Let's do this. Now again, Dragolitz was a big help there, because as soon as you get down and as soon as you spawn in, you start wave 5, you see they immediately spawn on you. So if you have like 2 skeletons on your walls, you definitely want a pet helping you with that. And Dragolitz is very good at that, to make those enemies go down faster. And you know, when you take them faster, it means they won't do more damage on your walls, and you probably won't have the time to repair them. So that's the main thing here, an objective. So again, it doesn't matter if you go down by the assassins, as long as your defenses are holding. It's really, I mean, no one is giving KD or anything for how many times you die. You just want to complete the level. And get the loot. So yeah, the frame rate is not that great. I mean, you can see, but I love this game. So now I'm not getting any serious threats on this wave. I mean, Amalfi is sending Gridlock, so I don't actually need to worry about anything. If it was a siege roller, I would probably be behind its back right now and trying to put some damage in it, but since there are enemies that you know your defenses can hold them and handle them, there's no need to panic actually. Hello, Mr. Matthews. Draggle is there and yay! Alright guys, so this is it. And this is how you clear Chaos 5. Thanks for watching. And I will be doing the rest of the Chaos 5 levels. See you then. Bye.